Hello, everybody. Welcome to. It's been a long time since I've done a live stream. I did one about a little over a month ago, and I haven't done one since. And I did some in some Facebook groups, but not here on the channel. And just so you know, I'm going to be doing live streams every Sunday night, starting this Sunday. Um, I haven't decided on an exact time yet. So post below what time would you think would work best for you, and we'll definitely see if we can make that work for you. Tonight we are going to take a look at the Camerock uh, module by Salvation Mods and the tone wheel boost pedal. The Camerock is based on the Cameron amps. They went out of business several years ago. Um, but from what I've seen in a lot of videos and reviews, they were going to be legendary, and now they're kind of like a unicorn legendary kind of amp because you can't find them unless you get a used one. But they were supposed to be like this ridiculous high gain monstrous kind of amp, and so this module that Antonin made at Salvation is in the spirit of that. And his Angel module that I also have is made after the Engel amps, and he nailed that. So I'm about 100% sure that he nailed this too. Um, and I have to tell you, when I plugged this into my Synergy this afternoon, my Synergy module this after my Syn 5050 and my um, Syn 2 Synergy system, I could not believe how outrageous this thing was. I mean, it's got so much gain on tap, it's not even funny. I mean, it's just loaded with gain. There's so much headroom, and it's just filled with rage. I had never played a more unruly, awesome beast of an amp in my life, and it's all real tubes. What you're going to hear tonight is, let me give me my signal chain. It's the Syn 2 with the Camerock in it, ran through my Helix. There's no EQ on the Helix, so there's no global EQ. It's all flat. And then I'm running through an impulse response from Live Ready Sound, which is a vintage 30 speaker and a 4x12 Mesa cab with a Royer 121 and 57 combo mic on it. And I'm going right into my interface through that. So that's basically what you're hearing. So there's no trickery, there's no pre and post processing, nothing like that. It's all just straight into the interface. There's no EQ or blocks or anything like that. So you're just hearing something that's straight out. Um, Let me know if you guys can hear me really well. I'm going to do a quick sound check here, and I'm going to keep track of your comments here on my phone because I'm not sitting at my desktop computer right now. I'm actually sitting in the middle of where I shoot all my videos, so I have to use my phone to keep track of comments. Um, Looks like we got 5 people in here. Sound off. Let me know who you are, and we could say our hellos. And while you're doing that, I'll play a couple riffs for you after I take a sip of water. Um, I spent the whole day getting this ready after I worked, so it's been a lot of work running up and down the stairs, sound checking, and all that. So what I'm going to do for you too is I'm going to play this in a full mix with vocals, bass, drums, everything, so that you can hear it in a mix. And then I'll play some tire kicking riffs, nothing fancy, just something like that, so that you can hear what this just flat out sounds like. We'll go through the settings. I'll read part of the instructions for you and basically just show you what the different knobs and switches do on it. It's loaded with features and all kinds of tonal capabilities, so it's going to be sick. And then of course we'll demo the tone wheel pedal as well, the tone wheel boost pedal. And we'll put it up against the Horizon Devices Precision Drive, which is one of my favorite overdrive pedals. So let me back the mic off a little bit to get rid of the string clack. And we got someone posting here. Hey Joe, what's going on? Good to see you. Thank you very much for stopping by and for the well wishes. I appreciate that very much. Um, Joe is he's the senior VP, or he's way up the chain at Yamaha, and who's affiliated with Line 6 because they bought Line 6. So I really appreciate him taking the time to stop by and say hello. So, yes, and the effects that you're hearing tonight, speaking of Line 6, are all through the Helix. So every effect that you're hearing tonight is all Line 6 Helix effects. And all the switching and routing and all that stuff is also through the Line 6 Helix, which is an awesome platform for, especially for me, for running 4 cable method. So let's get a listen to what this crazy module sounds like, shall we? I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I just hearing it in my earbuds. I got these KZ-AS10, wireless through my IEMs, that I use, and it sounds incredible through these. And when I had it upstairs and I played it through my power section, which is the Syn 5050, hooked to my two Mesa 2x12 cabs with vintage 30s in them, I could not believe how good this thing sounded. And I cranked it too. I really wanted to crank it and see what it sounded like at louder volumes to see if there was anything like bugging my ears. And this thing sounds incredible. It's just, like I said, it's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of rage and gain. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And there's a couple of different gain stages, probably several gain stages, because there's a couple of gain switches, a couple of gain knobs, and clipping knobs, and they all do different things. And some of the knobs will actually cut the volume down, but then you attenuate for, you crank the master up a little higher to make up for that volume dip. And the gain and the saturation and rage that comes out of this thing is incredible. I've literally never experienced that before. And these modules are like in the picture of the thumbnail of this video. There's little bitty things. And the sound and the tone that comes out of these things is just, I'm just always shocked. It's like they say dynamite comes in small packages. This is like a nuclear weapon. It was like a nuke in a small package. It's ridiculous. Um, yeah, Joe is president of Yamaha Guitar Group. Thank you for clarifying. Sorry, I get everybody's titles mixed up over there. You and Frank and all the other great people that are over there. So, yes, once again, we're honored to have you here. Thank you very much for stopping in. Mr. Dennis Malloy, what's going on, Dennis? How you doing? Yeah, we got 7 people here. All right, so let me play a couple more riffs, and then I'll get started with the backing track and play maybe a whole song, at least most of it, so that you can get an idea of how this sounds in a mix. And I got a couple other things that I'm going to show you as well. So let's go ahead and start here. Again, nothing fancy. I'm just going to do some riffs that kind of show how tight this is and how articulate it is and how angry it is. That's a good way to test an amp too. Like just grab the thinner strings and see how much meat they have on them when you palm mute them. That's one of my favorite things to do. Listen to this. I mean, they're so meaty, and you can hear there's just a lot of size of sound there. It doesn't sound thin and twangy at all. So that tells me that it's a great amp, and I also have it dialed in, I think, at least for my taste, perfectly. I love how this sounds. And it didn't take long. It took me a few minutes, but I spent more time screwing around with all the features and getting lost in all that because after I got it dialed in, I'm like, all right, well, let's screw it all up and see what I can do with this thing and see how nutty I can get it. And yeah, it gets pretty crazy. And it's amazing how many features are on. That's the little module right there. It's amazing how many features are on there. All the switches and knobs and everything else really do a lot. So it's crazy how much they do. So all right, so here's what we're gonna do. Let me do a couple more riffs, and then we'll go ahead and start a song and do that real quick. Yeah, this thing's sick. All right, so let me do this real quick. I'm going to share this video in a couple spots. And hey, what's going on, James Miller? Sounds great. Thank you. Thank you very much. This thing is, man, it's got to be next on your list, buddy. It really does. I mean, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I really do. Let me share this on my page real quick. And we'll go ahead and get started here. I just got to do the shares. And bear with me here. And then we'll get going. Do a little more chatting. And let people come in real quick. You know how it is with when you do a live stream, it takes a minute for everybody to kind of file in. There we go. All right. It's shared in most of the groups anyways. And if you guys don't mind sharing this, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, so that's what it sounds like with the precision drive. Let me turn off all the overdrives and you can hear it just plain. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the tone wheel boost. Yeah, that's with the tone wheel boost, which sounds really good. And I didn't even have it cranked up all the way. It was only cranked up half the way. So this is all the way. Yeah, that sounds really good. It feels good too. It's got a great feel to it. The strings feel awesome and very responsive. Yeah, I really like it a lot. I was really glad to get the tone wheel boost because it's such a unique pedal. It's made the top of it's all skateboard parts. Like the wheel is a skateboard wheel, and the top part of it is actually part of a skateboard. So it's kind of cool. And the top knob, I guess, is a volume gain boost, and then the side knob is like a tone boost. And then there's two modes on the side, and I'll show you those later. But you know what? Let's go through those now. So this is one mode. That mode's pretty crazy. Adds a lot of bass and stuff to it. It's kind of nuts. I prefer the other mode. So this is the mode I prefer. It's a little clearer. Yeah, sorry about all the repetitive riffs. I'm just trying to show you what this sounds like, you know. I mean, it's hard to do when you're I just play like when I'm trying out stuff, I'm really repetitive and I play a lot of tire kicking boring riffs, but that's what you have to do because there's just things I'm looking for when I'm dialing in an amp, and there's things that I want it to feel like and sound like, and there's things that little idiosyncrasies that stick out when you do certain things, and you're looking for that. So that's kind of why I do that. Well, let's see here. We got 5 people here. Let's go ahead and let's do a track. Let's do a song. I'm going to back this mic off, and let's see how this sounds in a mix. Hopefully I got this mixed properly. I did a pre-mix, and we'll see if it worked. Wow, man. I hope you guys like that. That sounded killer in my ears, anyways. Let me go back into the chat here on my phone. Oh, good. We're getting some comments here. What's going on, Alex? What's going on? Skate parks. Yeah, skate parks, man. I'll pull this out and show it to you guys in a minute. It's so cool. It really is. I mean, this guy is so creative with his inventions. I mean, they're just really cool. And what's cool is the wheel on there. You can adjust the tone with your foot. That's kind of why he put that on there. But I just think it sticks out on the board, and it's kind of a quirky pedal, and I want it on my board because it just looks badass, you know. Um, Jim Doyle, what's going on, man? Yeah, Tim's pedal board is a skateboard, so he would love that pedal. You're right. He would. It would fit right in. He's got to get it because it's a killer drive pedal, and I know he uses overdrive on his bass, if I'm not mistaken. And it would probably give his bass tone just that nice little bit of cut that he likes so much, and some dirt, you know. Geterick 1, can't tell what STN module you're using right now. I'm using the Camerock. And for the clean, I use the TDLX, the Tweed Deluxe module, because I use that for all my cleans. Just so you guys know, Sin module, yeah, it's the Camerock by Salvation Mods. So it's not a Synergy module, but it fits in the Synergy system. If you haven't checked out Synergy, or if you haven't checked out Synergy, definitely check them out. But if you haven't checked out Salvation Audio, you're really missing out on some really good boutique stuff. I mean, when you show up to a gig with one of their modules, chances are you're the only guy that's going to sound like you that night because they're just so unique. They're very, very unique modules, and they are true to form. Like, they're his version of. I'm trying not to drink a lot, so I got these down here. Keep the old whistle wet, because I don't want to have to go to the bathroom. Um, but yeah, so like they're just like his take on them, and and Antonin's take on these is just amazing. It's got his flavor in it, but it just sounds incredible. I mean, that's just a ton of aggression there. A ton. So this, once again, for the guys that are just showing up, this is after the Cameron amps that were pretty famous several years ago, and they went out of business. And they were a very big up and coming company, and everybody had all these high hopes for them because they thought they were going to be the next big thing. And they went out of business. You know, so let me read some of these other. Awesome sauce, Joe says. Thank you. Aaron Lucas, what's going on, Aaron? How you doing, man? Thanks for coming in. Really appreciate you guys stopping by here. With using the modules, Aaron's asking, with using the modules, do you still see the benefits of modelers like Helix and Kemper? Um, yes, that's a great question because, yeah, I mean, with the modules, I think what the modules are the amp company's way of punching back, um, because they got a huge hit. I mean, the modelers are so good, like the Helix, the Axe-Fx, the Kemper, all of them are so good now that a lot of people are actually going for those, and they're taking a huge hit out of the analog market, the tube market. Um, and one of the biggest reasons is, well, there's two reasons. The biggest reason is, you know, convenience, portability, and the other one is features. So what Synergy did is they picked up the ball where Randall dropped it, and they said, okay, let's pick this up again and really make it awesome and market it properly, and they did. And what this is I mean, as you can see right here, let me see, point my finger in here. These are all very small. They're this big, and they're very portable. I mean, I have two Sin 2s in my rack, and I can fit this on the front seat of my truck. So when I go to a gig, this sits on the front seat of the truck. And I have the portability, I have the convenience, I have the weight, way less weight than an amp and cab, uh, and I also have the variety because you can get a ton of modules and pop them in here and switch them around. Um, and use them, and they're real tube modules, and they're basically made by legit manufacturers. So like the Ingle is made by Ingle, but the Salvation Audio stuff is made in the Czech Republic by Antonin, and his, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And his are like a different flavor of all the stuff that's out there, and it's just amazing. He tricks them up, so he does mods to them, like Keeley modded pedals. Well, he's modding these and putting extra switches and features and all kinds of extra stuff on here. And I'll show you in a minute, these switches and knobs do a lot. I mean, it's not just like, oh, here's this useless knob he threw on here just to justify his price. No, these knobs and switches make a dramatic difference in how these sound and feel. There's so many different tonal variety kind of opportunities in these. There's just tons. So I just can't believe how good this is. I really can't. I'm really pleased with it. Um, Let me see here. So to finish my point to Aaron, who asked a very good question. Thank you. Um, and then I'm going to get to James Miller in a second. Um, the other thing is, what's nice about these is they pair well with the modelers. So it's kind of like if I don't. This is kind of a loose term, but if you can't beat them, join them kind of thing. It's like, okay, you guys want portable, you want convenience, you want variety. Here you go. And we're going to make it so that you can pair them with all your favorite modelers. So instead of using my Helix as my all-in-one, which is a great unit for an all-in-one kind of unit, but um, so instead of using it for that, I use it in four cable method with these. So I use it to switch through the different modules and to give me my effects. So I'll give you an example. Like right now, I'm in the module. Now I'm using my piezo sound. So it's like Beauty and the Beast. So like in the Helix allows me to do that. So what you're hearing here is my guitar straight into the Helix. And there's no amp model, there's no speaker cab model or anything like that, no impulse response. It's just compressor with some delay, chorus, and reverb. That's it. So that's pretty much what it is. And I couldn't do this without the Helix, So I'm grateful for my Helix because it actually allows me to have all of that switching, routing, and variety and effects. And it does it really well. And it's super easy to program and super easy to use. So when you put like the Helix with the Synergy stuff, you literally do get the best of both worlds. Because in my opinion, the four cable method stuff, Helix is definitely at least top three minimally, and it just depends on your taste. But for me, obviously, I use the Helix, so I think it's the best option for me for cable method because I get great effects and great switching, and it's easy to use. And there's a ton of like variety that I can use with it. And that's, I guess, going back to like the ease of use, like. What good is a great platform that gives you great stuff, but it's a headache to program? Most of the time when you have something like that that's a total headache to program, you'll just give up and not do certain things because it's just the juice ain't worth the squeeze. Well, with the Helix, you don't really have to squeeze to get the juice. It's just oozing out of it, and it's just simple. You just put a cup underneath and grab it. That's how easy it is with the Helix because it's so simple to program, and that's what I like about it. So James Miller, okay, so I missed some comments. Let me go down to James. I have to say the Angel E is still my favorite for the tone. Now, it's definitely one of my favorites too. But this Camerock, dude, you got to experience this thing. I mean, I was laughing. And not laughing at it, but I was like laughing like a kid on Christmas morning when I plugged this in when I got home from work today. I plugged it in, and fired it up through my cabs and my power section. And I was like, holy crap. I'm like, dude, this is insane. I mean, I felt like I was riding a bull, you know? I mean, there's so much gain and so much unruly, crazy savageness to this thing. It's sick. There's nothing this thing can't do. It just sounds amazing. So I would definitely suggest trying one out, man. They're worth every penny. I mean, that's the one thing I'm learning about Salvation is like just roll the dice. It'll land on whatever color and number you pick every time. I mean, you're not going to be displeased. This is 3 modules. 2 I've bought and 1 I've tried out because I did a shootout with his Salvato, and all of them so far have been complete home runs. I have nothing bad to say about them. I don't even have any constructive criticism about them at all. They're just absolutely beautiful. They're perfect. And I know I sound like a sycophant, but I seriously, I just am not. I just literally love these things. They sound that good. So let me go back and read some of these comments. Uh, Getarock, again, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing names properly. Thanks, buddy. I've not heard any samples of that model yet and was just curious because it sounds great. I'm still leaning towards the Angel, though. Dude, you get either one of them and you're going to be satisfied. I love my Angel as well, but you know, I'm kind of like a kid with a new toy with this one right now, but I'm sure it'll even out, and I'll love them both equally, but for different reasons. You know, this thing is just wait till I show you the features, and I'll get to those in a minute. I just want to say hello to people and read some stuff here. Um, Aaron's asking, is there any point on the module technology you feel that Helix and Kemper should apply or copy? Um, yeah, I mean, I think that they can probably do you know, models of them and like profiles of them. I'm sure there's people out there that have. I think Matt Figg's done some. Um, but the thing that I've noticed, especially with the Ingles and amps that have a lot of weird, quirky character to them, and I think the Victory Kraken is another one, is that you can't model those very well. They're tricky. You know, the JP Mark II C Plus is the same way. All the guys that I talk to that profile these they all say the same thing. Like these things are like unicorns, man. There's just stuff that they do that modelers can't pick up. Because I mean, just to put it in for myself too, layman's terms, computers and all that stuff, they speak in ones and zeros. Well, these tubes and all the stuff, all the circuits in here, they're speaking in ones and 27s and 33s and 48s, and you know, and those numbers just aren't jiving with the algorithms of the computers, and they just can't seem to pick them up. I have yet to play um, a Kemper profile that does the Ingle thing. It does it a little bit. You can pick up the tone characteristics and the chords and stuff, but as soon as you start doing single note stuff like solos and stuff, it doesn't do it. It has that tone, but it doesn't have the quirky thing that dark, glassy, weird, squealy thing that the Ingles do. It won't do it. And I've played lots of Kemper profiles, and I'm not hearing it, especially when you engage the wah. All that stuff is like it's like a really watered down version of that. It still sounds good, but when you play through an Ingle amp for real, you'll know right away. You'll be like, oh, where's all the stuff? And there's really no name for it, and it's not tangible. It's like it's just mojo. There's mojo that they just don't do. And the more amps I try out, the more I learn that because there's a lot of quirky amps out there, and they're made to be quirky on purpose. These guys are doing this on purpose. It's their signature, it's their spin, it's their secret sauce that they're putting in there. And modelers can't do it. They just can't. You know, they can come close, but once you hear that amp and you play through it yourself for real, you'll hear it and you'll be like, oh, there's the awesome sauce that's missing. You know, so that's the stuff that they just can't do. Even though they sound good, they just can't do that, and not on all the amps. On the plain, like ordinary amps that most people play through, they can get about 98% of that. But Ingles, no. I don't know about the Cameron. You know, I'd have to see if somebody could model that or profile that properly, because there's some weird, quirky stuff that the Camerock's doing right now that I don't know if a modeler will pick that up either. Um, that's my line, Joe says. Great input. Let me see. I put my Sin 1 on my pedal board. Camerock says right next to my Helix for the ultimate portable tube rig. No, you're right. That's what I got. I mean, I don't have it on the same board, but I think what you did is the right thing. I have the Helix paired with the Synergy rack, the Sin 2s. I got 2 Sin 2s, so I have 4 modules on there, and it's oh my God, it's just so good live. So when we play live, I won't play anything else. I have a Kemper, but I leave it at home when we play live. I'd rather play the Synergy stuff with my Helix because it's just incredible. It sounds amazing. And the last several gigs that we've done, I always ask the sound guys, I'm like, what do you guys, I mean, is there anything I could do better? I mean, what'd you think of my tone? They're like, dude, don't change a thing. You had sick tone tonight. It was sick. I mean, whatever you do, just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, it's not even that they were like, yeah, it's fine. They were literally like gushing about the tone, and they were like shocked at how good it sounded. So it was really cool hearing that feedback. So all right, so let's do this real quick. Let me take a sip of water, and I want to go through the features on this unit so you guys can hear how crazy this thing gets. Forgive me if anything gets out of control here, but I'm still new with this unit, so I'm trying to figure out what's what. Okay, so basically what we have here is just the tone that I dialed in real quick today that I think the sound is good. So on the bottom here, you got a gain switch. So it's all the way down. It's a little tighter. It's probably a little less gain. Sounds good. It's a great rhythm tone. And the middle section, I did that. That's what I've been using, and it seems like a good happy spot between rhythm and lead. And let's see what we got over here. Looks like it's more bassy. We got some more low end over here. So we go back to this, and now here's where things really get interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this switch over here. It just dropped the volume way down, so it's a different kind of clipping. But there's so much saturation over here, so I'm going to turn the volume up to kind of make up for that. Oh my God! It's just a ton of rage. Holy crap, that is just insane. So let me turn it all the way up now. Let's see what that does. Yeah, there's just 3 different gain stages with that. Now I'll put it back in the middle, but then I got to turn this down. So if you need more gain and you just don't have enough, I mean, you've hit that switch and then adjust the volume accordingly, and it's just it's too much gain, but that's what you want. You want something with a ton of headroom so that you don't have to turn everything all the way up. Like old Marshalls, you had to dime everything all the time. If you dime this thing, you'd probably blow your freaking house up. It's absolutely ridiculous. So here's the other gain knob over here. So that's the second gain knob. So if you just want a nice chunky tight rhythm tone, there you go, you know. And it's at like 10 o'clock, if that. Oh my God, that's 2 o'clock. You know what I love is how chewy it is. Like you can hear the pick just annihilating the strings. I mean, there's just so much brutal kind of like force going on there. And it sounds like I'm beating the crap out of my guitar, but I'm not, you know. And what I notice too, when sometimes I'll catch myself, I got a big mirror in my living room when I'm playing something, and I'll just kind of glance over and I'm making the stink face. That's how I know something sounds amazing. To the average person, they're probably like, he probably doesn't like that. And to me, I'm like, I'm in heaven right now because I'm making the stink face. And that's what I find. That's how you know it sounds good. You're like, God, that's just incredible. That's like a really good setting. Let me crank that all the way up now. See what we got. You know what I like is even with it cranked all the way up, is still great note separation and string separation in there. Let's see what else we got here. Ooh, that's even more gain. That switch just crank the highs and the gain a little bit. I'll show you the difference. Wow, lots more rage. Yeah, there's just a ton of like characteristics on this thing, just tons of little things that you can do to change things. And you know how us guitar players are, we're tone chasers, so we're always nitpicking at things. And this thing will let you do that. I mean, you'll get used to how it sounds and feels for a while, and then you'll bump a switch one day and just look at it and, oh, let me try this. And then you fall in love with it all over again. That's what I like about his mods, is that you go in there and you think you're dialed in, and then a couple months later, just because you want something different, it's like going to the same restaurant every day and ordering the same thing. Every once in a while, it's good to order something different instead of the special, you know. And then you're like, wow, here's my new favorite go-to, you know. And that's what his modules allow you to do. It's just like there's all kinds of stuff on the menu that you can change to, and they're all good. So, and if you just want a different flavor, there's tons of flavors on here. Let me turn the gain all the way, not all the way down, but I'll turn it down quite a bit. Okay, so that's the gain at 10 o'clock on the first gain stage. Oh, so when you got it down that low, you hit that switch. It changes everything. You hear that? That's incredible. I can't believe all the features on this thing. There's just so many tonal options on here. There's just a ton in one little module. Put it back in the middle there. Okay, so bear with me and let me grab the tone wheel boost pedal, and I'll show you what that looks like. First, let me read a couple comments here. Screw this metal nonsense, Aaron says. Let's hear some thunder rolls. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't even know that song. Joe says, need to leave. Thank you for a wonderful cast. Thanks for stopping by, Joe. I really appreciate that very much. Okay, so let me see here. All right, let me show you the tone wheel. Let me turn the volume down on the Helix, and we'll go ahead and get that. Enjoy the top of my head for a second here. Be careful not to bang my guitar into anything. Okay, so make sure I'm showing you the right thing here. So this is it, and there's the skateboard wheel. So you can just turn that with your foot as you're playing, and you can adjust things to taste so that while you're playing, you can feel the tone and the character of the guitar and the strings change as you're turning this up and down. And there's the two-way switch here for the two different modes that I got to read up on a little more. And then over here is your dial, making sure you guys can see everything okay. This is your tone dial. So, but the top of this, if you can see, this tan part, that's actually a skateboard. It's the top of a skateboard, and then that's the wheel from a skateboard. And then on the side is the jack for the 9-volt power. So it's quirky, you know? It's a quirky little pedal, and it's very boutique and cool and chic, and it's just badass, you know? Like, why wouldn't you have this on your board? Because it's a conversation piece, you know, you're setting up for a gig and all the other guitar players and people are walking around and they're like, what the hell's that, you know? Yeah, it's a tone wheel boost, you know, like it just looks cool enough where people are going to want to come up and ask you questions about it, you know, and it does stick out on your board like a sore thumb, but in a good way. I just think it's really cool. Let me put this back on. Just take a second. Trying to be super careful so I don't have to scratch my guitar. Yeah, so anyways, it takes effects really well too. Let me show you how I got some chorus and delay here. So that's chorus and delay through the Helix, and it just takes the effects really well. And then here's some delay. So that's the stereo delay through the Helix, and it takes that really well too. And here's what it sounds like with a wah. Yeah, so it just sounds great with all the different effects that I use, anyways, and even with the flanger, it takes to that pretty well. This is the Petrucci, like the Dreamscape flanger. If I turn the volume pedal up, you'll hear it. It's pretty extreme. It's a pretty badass pedal. So it just takes the effects really well. I love the way that they colored the tone of the amp, and yeah, I can't say enough good about this. I mean, I fell in love with it right away. I mean, as soon as I slid my hand down the low B string, I was like, oh boy, I'm in for a treat here. And I wish you guys could, like, I can't describe like how it is to play through the power section and the two Mesa 2x12s upstairs. You have to like experience that to really know what I'm talking about. This sounds great. I'm sure it sounds great on your end, and it sounds great in my in-ears, but playing it through those is like next level. It's just, there's so many intangibles there. There's so many really cool characteristics, and there's more fullness because you're playing through big cabs and a power section. So there's just, when you pair all that together, oh my God, it's just incredible. It's just unbeatable sound. I just am just blown away with how good this sounds. So if you haven't, if you're in the the Synergy family, and you got like the Synergy modules and stuff like that, and you got the Syn 1 or Syn 2, or even their little amps that they have with the the spots where you can put in the modules, I highly suggest that you try a Salvation Audio module, because it's going to give you that extra flavor and that extra little quirkiness, that the Synergy stuff's amazing. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I have tons of Synergy modules. They're great. But man, if you want that one off that's just going to make everybody turn and go, what is that guy's playing through? You have to go to Salvation Audio and grab any one of their mods that are kind of within the flavor of what you like. So far I have the Angel E, and I fell in love with that in 2 seconds. I was like, oh my God, I'm home. The fullness, the richness of tone, the way it feels, the way it sounds, the way it acts with the wah, because it's got the angle. It does the angle thing. It really does the angle thing very well. And it's got that dark, glassy, kind of squealy thing when you play leads, and it's just amazing. And through the power section, it's even fuller and bigger. So I got that. Now I have the Camerock, which is, again, based on the Cameron amps, which you can't find anymore. I mean, if you do, they're used. They don't make them anymore. And it's like no one has this. So, like, if you're going to show up to a gig full of other bands and you really want to stand out, honestly, you're going to throw a Salvation Audio module in your Synergy rig, and you're going to use that night, because you're going to stand out. And I've always gotten good comments and compliments on my tone when I use them. At home, I'll use whatever. I switch through them. Just like I said earlier about changing flavors and different things, I'll switch through them and stuff like that. But typically when I get on stage, it's a Salvation Audio mod, because I want to stand out, and I need all the help I can get. I'm not the best guitar player out there. And if I can use something to give me a little edge, I'm gonna. Why not? So I would say, and especially for recording, if you're going to be recording, I'm definitely not going to use the standard stuff. Even though the standard stuff by Synergy is absolutely amazing, I absolutely love it. But if you want something that's different, you want to stand out in the crowd, I'm telling you, these are the way to go. They really are, because they're so different. They're very unique, and there's like a boutique kind of feel to them. And I think they're awesome, and they look cool. Because you put them in your rack, and they stand out amongst the other modules, because the Synergy stuff all has kind of the same kind of look, which does look really cool. But these, just like the tone wheel pedal, it's just like, what the hell's that? And people are always, it's a good conversation piece. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. And literally, I spent probably a half an hour with it before I went live, just to kind of dial it in and screw around with it. And I'm sure after this video, I'm going to come up with all kinds of stuff, even more that I like about it, and tweak it even more. But I think that you guys are going to really like the features on this if you get one. I, again, highly suggest it. Let me read what is in this. So you got the drive, you have the 3-position switch. Center is the highest amount of gain and bass. To the right, the sound is mid gain, but the bottom end gets really big. So I was right. When I turned it to the right, it sounded bigger. To the left is the lowest gain, which is that kind of chunky, tone that I was using earlier. Um, and let's see, it's a little darker. Let's see. And he said in here too, like, don't be afraid to tinker, and there's no right or wrong. Like, you're not going to break anything. You're not going to hurt anything. Screw around with it and experiment, because that's what these are made for. And then through that experimentation, you're going to find your sound. You really are. And I'm pretty close to finding that for me. And then maybe I'll just screw around a little bit more on days that I want something different and fine tune some things. So gain 1, this knob controls the amount of gain on channel 2 and works in conjunction with, let's see, turn it down to have low gain, turn it up to have more gain. And then it has, it's associated with a 3-position bright switch, so above it. So that's what that bright switch was doing. It adds treble and adds gain. Center is off, down is the brightest and most gain, and up is the least amount of gain. It's mid gain and less bright. So, and then the bass obviously does what bass does, and so does the middle. And then gain. So there's 2 gain knobs. So the second gain knob controls the amount of gain and works in conjunction with gain 1. That's awesome. So you can fine tune your gain stages too, and like, if you really like the gain that you got on the gain stage 1, you can add a little and change the shape of that gain and the character of it with the gain 2 knob, which is, I mean, how many amps allow you to do that? I mean, it's just so cool to have all this stuff. So, and again, when you change the bright switch on this, on the second bright switch, it is a clipping that happens, and then you adjust the master for that. So if you just want the most unruly, saturated, crazy version of this amp, switch that down and crank the master, and you're going to have too much gain, which sometimes is a good thing if you just want to go for it and have a real shreddy solo. But it still has a lot of great character, and it sounds really good. In my in-ears, it sounds amazing. I hope it sounds amazing out there. I don't know what you guys are listening to this on, but man, I couldn't be happier with how this sounds right now. So if you haven't tried the Synergy stuff, and if you really want the best of all worlds, like if you want tubes and you just have to have tubes because you love them, but you're tired of lugging around heavy stuff, Synergy is the way to go. Get a Synergy system and get the Synergy modules, get the Salvation Audio modules, and they have Jaded Faith as another company, and put those in there and do mix and match, because you can have any amp you want now for like a fraction of the cost. Like an Ingle costs $4,500, $3,500. I can have an Ingle for $399. I can have the Angel, which is from Salvation, for $449. And it's a legit, full-blown, awesome sounding amp, especially when you pair it with a power section that Synergy makes, the Syn 5050. So you can have stereo all-tube power. It's all portable. It all fits in the front seat of your truck, and it's incredible. And then you pair it with a great modeler like the Helix or whatever modeler, tickles your fancy, and you literally do have the best of both worlds. You really do. And as much as I love the Helix, it has 4 effects loops in it, so I plug in pedals. I got several pedals on my pedal board that I plug into it. So I'm always switching pedals up and doing stuff, and it allows you to do that. So it's really incredible. So this is my favorite product, like, of 2018. When I did reviews of products in 2018, the Synergy stuff was my favorite product that I reviewed. I can't recommend it more, because again, you can have your tubes now and not have to worry about all of the the negatives that are associated with them, i.e., weight and size and less features. Now you can have all the features, all the portability, and the less weight and the compactness that the Synergy stuff has to offer. Tons of variety. If you go on Synergy's or Salvation's website, there's a ton of amp modules that he makes, and you could pick up through all of them, and they're all good. They're all really good. I mean, after trying 3, I have to pretty much just say they're all good. I mean, the next one I order, it's almost like I just blindly pick it, and I know I'll like it. So I have a lot of faith in that company. So really good job. Um, so Aaron said, thanks, Aaron. Great video and playing as always. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. So Getarock says it's only one channel. It's weird because on here he says that one of the knobs is associated with channel 2. So I think there's 2 channels on here, but I'm not seeing 2 lights like it's switching between them. He's probably just like on the Salvato, there's 2 channels on that too. But you just flip it with a switch, and it kind of switches everything over to that channel. So I think that that's what he's referring to. I apologize if I'm not giving you the right information here. I worked all morning this morning and got home and literally like got to know this thing. I just got it delivered today before I went to work, and I got home and fired it up, spent a half an hour with it, and the rest of the day I spent setting all this stuff up and sound checking and dialing everything in so I can get ready for this. So I didn't have a chance to do a lot of research on it, but I think that yeah, it's probably 2 channels, and one of the other channels is associated with one of these switches that you flip, and it does something. So, but it won't switch MIDI, I don't think. It's got to be switched through the module itself, which is cool. It would be nice if he had the modules with 2 channels, like 2 channels that will switch via MIDI. That would be killer, but it would probably cost a lot more because this was $449, I think, which is worth every penny. I just wonder how much it would be. And Antonin, if you're watching, if you see this, if you don't mind posting in here, like if you ever thought about doing like a full-blown 2-channel module, and what the price would be, and maybe you do those. Maybe it's a mod that you can do for people. I don't know, but that would be cool to know. But not to take away from this because and this is loaded with a lot of features. So maybe, and forgive me for speaking for him, but maybe instead of doing 2 channels, he figured I'll just give you more mods. I'll give you more switches and knobs and stuff like that to change the character on these things and dial it in exactly how you want it. So, because there's, if you want 2-channel stuff, go with Synergy. If you want something that's got a ton of features, go to Salvation. Maybe that's what he's doing that for. Let's see. Cast 390. I just bought the Camerock off eBay. Oh, you did? Cool. Congratulations. When you get it, if you don't mind coming back in here and like posting what you think of it, I'd appreciate that a lot because it'd be nice to have a second opinion on that. Because as far as I'm concerned, this is the most unruly, in a good way, like rage monster I've ever played through. This thing is sick. It's ridiculous. Cast 390 also said, have you used any Jaded Faith mods? Good question. I intend to. I haven't yet, but I intend to. I've heard good things about them. I've heard a lot of things. I've heard people say that they're amazing. I've heard people say that the Salvation stuff's better. I've heard people say the other way around. I mean, there's, it's just a matter of taste. It's funny because you look at these things and they don't look like much. You look at them and you're like, how's that going to sound? I mean, it doesn't look like a beast. It doesn't look like it's going to sound huge. But then you plug it in and you're like, oh my God. I mean, these things scare you. I mean, it just shocks me how every time I turn my rig on, I'm always shocked at how big it sounds, and it's just incredible. Oh, you got it. So sounds great. I love it. He says, that's good. Is it now? What else do you have, and how does this compare to those? Is this your favorite, or please let us know. I'll play a little bit for a second. Oh, Size Queen is here. What's going on, man? Thanks for stopping by. Salvation is awesome stuff. Yes, I agree. I do. I can't agree more. I'm super stoked, and I love having something that's so unique, but still, you know how some guys will have something that's unique, but it sounds terrible, and they're like, yeah, but it's different. Well, different isn't always good if it doesn't sound good. These are unique, but I think they're unique and they sound better. So it's like they turn heads not because people haven't heard them before only. They also turn heads because people are like, what the hell is that? You know, that sounds incredible. And I've actually experienced that, you know, and people think they sound amazing. So they literally do turn heads for all the right reasons, you know, and you do sound unique when you play through them. Salvation Guy, Size Queen says Salvation Guy is the designer of KHDK pedals. Oh, I didn't know that. Honestly, I've never heard of those pedals. I'll have to look those up. And that's why I love doing these live streams, because I learn stuff from you guys too. You know, I mean, I'm always I feel like when I do these, I learn more than you guys do, because there's a lot of stuff I don't know, and I appreciate the information. I really do. My wallet gets a little scared sometimes because my wallet's like, great, now he's going to buy one of those pedals, but I don't care. It's worth it. You know, Getarock says, I bought the diesel module and can use the foot switch jack out on my Helix to change the channels back and forth. So I was just wondering if it was capable of that. Oh, um, yeah. I That's a good question. I think that the two channels that are in the Camerock are probably only switchable from the front because of the switches that he's got on there. I think that's how you change them. So if Antonin comes in here, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll watch this. If he could straighten that out, I would really appreciate it. Because I don't know everything. Trust me, I really don't. I just know what I like, and I like this. So Case 390 says, for Randall modules, I have the Ultra Recto, the Recto, um, Motormend, and Camerock. They all sound great. No synergy modules yet. I do want to get. Let's see. I do want to get the Sin 1. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not wearing my glasses. I'm not illiterate. I just can't see. um, yeah. If I could make a humble suggestion, I would suggest getting the Sin 2, because you're gonna want, you know, two modules, one for dirty, one for clean, or one for rhythm, one for lead. Even though they have the synergy stuff has two channels, I find a lot of times it's nice to have that variety where you just tap a switch on your in your controller, your MIDI controller or Helix or whatever you're using, and be able to switch things around. I had the Sin 1. That was the first thing I bought, and I returned it the next day and exchanged it for the Sin 2. And because I was like, I'm one of those guys. I like variety. Variety is like my jam. I gotta have tons of variety, and and because I like variety, I actually bought a second Sin 2. So I have two Sin 2s here. You know, that's what you're looking at, two of them. You know, and I just love the variety, and I'm probably gonna have a third Sin 2 because I have modules that are parked now in boxes because I can't fit them all in here. So I'm going to fill this thing up. I have the diesel too. And let me say this too while we're talking about the diesel, um, because when I love the diesel through the impulse response and straight out to cab, you know, my Friedman cabs are straight out to front of house. Sounds great. And even straight out to the recording interface. Sounds great. But when I hooked everything up, when I got my power section at GearFest, when we just got back from GearFest at Sweetwater, when I got home from GearFest, I hooked up my my Sin 5050, and I hooked it up to the two Mesa 2x12s with vintage 30s that I got at Sweetwater too. And that diesel never sounded better. It was like next level. It was almost like I took it in to get it modified, and it came back, and it was like, holy crap, this is what I wanted this to sound like. Again, it sounds great without the power section, but once you hear it and feel it with the power section with the two 2x12s, you're like, oh my God, I'm never going back. It's so good. And the Ingle got even more ingly, and it's just fuller. It added a fullness, and it added uh, a more reactive kind of thing, and it just took whatever you liked about that particular module and exaggerated it some more. Because I mean, you can't beat Mesa 2x12s. I mean, they're amazing cabs. We'll find out if you can beat them or not because I got a Harley Benton coming and I'm going to do a shootout with those very soon. Um, excuse me, as soon as Tillman sends it over, I'm going to do a shootout with that. So stay tuned for that. Um, that's going to be a fun shootout. Um, so Getarock says, "You are awesome, man. Thanks for all the insight and input. Your work putting these videos together is so much appreciated. Cheers." Thank you, dude. Seriously, I love getting comments like this because I do put a lot of work into this, and I've spent a ton of money. And I'm not trying to have a pity party here. I'm happy to do it, but getting comments like that and getting feedback like that from you guys really means a lot. It actually encourages me to do the next video and to do the next live stream because um, it's nice to have live streams like this so we can actually have a direct conversation and hear back and forth from each other immediately without the typing and stuff. Um, because it really does mean a lot to me. It puts gas in my tank and makes me want to do more, and I will do more. So every time I get a kind, encouraging compliment like that, it makes me want to just work harder for you guys. So I want to earn your trust. I want to earn your viewership. I want to earn all that and keep a good relationship with everybody. So thank you. Um, James Cassidy, what's going on, man? He says, "Dude, the Mesa 2x12 is a magic cab too. I will never let mine go." You know what? I'm never gonna let mine go either. I mean, I've let gear go in the past, and I've always regretted it because at the time you're like, oh, "I'll just sell it," and then later you're like, "What was I thinking?" Dude, you're so right. When I hooked those cabs up to the power section the day after I got home from Gear Fest, I was just like, holy. I called my buddy Jamie Trevino, who will be watching this tonight. I was like, dude, I'm home. Like, I literally have found where I belong. This rig is the pinnacle of all the rigs I've ever owned. Nothing has ever sounded or felt better than this. It's like perfect. And it's all legit because it's all tubes. It's I got the tube power section, and it's stereo. That's what's so cool. I mean, how many amps do you have that are stereo? Nobody has a stereo amp. I mean, maybe somebody does out there somewhere. There's a unicorn, but I have a stereo 6L6 50 watt per channel, all tube, ridiculous amp through Synergy with the Syn 5050. And I'm running two cabs in my living room, so I got the nice ping pong delays, the flanger. You can hear it washing through the room when you hit it, the stereo chorusing, all that stuff. And it just sounds so tight and so huge. And the thing I was worried about, because I've always owned 4x12s in the past when I had amps, I was worried that when I got the 2x12s that they would sound thin and like like lifeless and kind of like there wouldn't be any balls to them. But I was wrong. There was nothing to worry about. Those things pound the floor, man. I mean, you get close enough to those, you get a foot massage when you're doing low palm mutes. I mean, it's ridiculous. They have tons of fullness, tons of punch, tons of resonance. So, and especially when you have two of them, 10 feet apart from each other, and they just fill the whole bottom floor of my house with awesome sound and feel. I love them. I'll never part with mine either. So, yeah, I really, really like them a lot. And again, let me make another announcement. Like, just while I got you guys here, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Um, I'm going to be going live every week now on Sunday nights. I still got to figure out a time. So if you don't mind, if you do me a favor and put a time that works for you. I'm an Eastern Standard, just so you guys know, because I want to make sure people can view, and watch and join and stuff. And we'll figure everything out as we go. But I definitely want to start doing this more and really build this up so that we can get 100 or even a couple hundred people in here on chats and do demos. So like every time I go live, I'll have something to play for you. I'll have like something to show you. It won't be just me talking. I'll actually play some stuff and like I'll have a rig out and you guys just tell me what you want me to check, to show you, and I'll pick something new each week. And my band, Anastasi, which is that song I played earlier, we're actually going to do live streams probably once a month. We're going to come down and just play for you guys, and we're plugging directly in the board, so you guys will. It's not like we're setting a mic in the room. It's actually going to be a studio quality sound that we're going to give you guys, and I'll be demoing a different piece of gear each time, so that you guys can have something new to check out. And what's cool about it is I'll be demoing it in real world situations. In other words, like a live performance. I mean, there's nothing better than demoing something in a live performance, because that's like the heat of battle. That's like where it really counts. And I can give you my opinion about things, and obviously you can give me yours too. What's it sound like to you, and how's it sound in a mix, and what do you think of it, and all that kind of stuff. And we can have a back and forth about things that we like or don't like about it. I can turn knobs, change things. You can give me advice. I can give you advice. You know, we can all learn from each other. My singer, Carrie, she'll be demoing all kinds of stuff too. She's got a new set of in-ears coming, so she'll want to talk about those. She'll be demoing different mics, different effects, and my bass player will be doing the same thing with different bass pedals and different things. So I think it'll be kind of fun. So you get kind of like a live performance out of us, but in between each song, we're going to talk about stuff and share ideas and share thoughts about things. So I thought that would be kind of cool for you guys. So we got 12 people here, and I think that's really good, especially since I haven't gone live in a long time, and I really want to build this up. You know, I really want to build up my channel and really get things going here and do a lot more live streams, and I really look forward to it. It's a lot of work doing them. It's a lot of setup and a lot of thought that goes into them, but it's worth it because I get to interact with you guys, and again, I really appreciate you guys a lot. So before I go, I'll play a couple more riffs for you guys and show you some more stuff of what this sounds like, and then we'll I got to go eat because I'm getting lightheaded. I got to eat soon, so let me pull the mic away and play some riffs for you. Just get one of these. It's just, incredible. And I haven't even dialed it in all the way yet and really screwed around with it and fine tuned everything. And it's already like, I'm sold. Definitely get one. Yeah, it's amazing the clarity, Size Queen says. It really is. Uh, what about the Synergy 212? Rod says. I haven't tried one. I hear they're really good. It's amazing when you see demos and comparisons on 212 and even 412 cabs with the same speakers in them and how different they sound. It's incredible. Some of them sound really thin and lifeless, and some of them sound like really good. So I went with the Mesas because I watched a lot of videos about them, and they always sounded fuller and fatter and more, just robust than the other cabs. The Engel Pro Series came really close. I mean, it probably wasn't really much of a difference between the two, but I couldn't get the Engels at Sweetwater, so I got the Mesas. And honestly, I don't think I sacrificed anything. I mean, the Engels were more too, and I'm like, man, I'm already spending a lot of money here. I'm perfectly happy with the Mesas. They're incredible. But I haven't tried the Synergy ones. I'm sure they're good because everything Synergy's done so far has been absolutely incredible. So I'm sure they're great. And they're all made in the same, I think they share like space with Dave Friedman. And Ownhammer does too. That's where Ownhammer does a lot of their impulse responses. They're all, so Dave Friedman, Synergy, and Ownhammer, they're all in the same, I think, same building or same at least complex. So it's kind of like there's a lot of like really cool like stuff going on there, Yeah, let's see. James Miller says East time here. Thanks for the awesome show. Would like to hear more from your original band. Thank you. I appreciate that, and we will definitely do that. I really appreciate that a lot. We're really excited about it, and Saturday we're actually going to get together and spend about 3 or 4 hours doing a dial-in and making sure everything sounds really good for you guys. And we're really looking forward to playing for you guys and just hanging out. We'll probably do like 2 or 3 songs each time because we want it to be more of a just do a song, hang out, talk about whatever it is that we're playing through, and let people ask questions, maybe do another song, because we're all gear nuts. We're not really playing for like an audience of just the general population. We're playing for musicians. So I would prefer, like, if I went to see Dream Theater and they gave me a choice between, and I'm definitely not putting myself at Dream Theater's level, please understand that, but if I was to go see a band play, let's just say that, and they said, well, we can either play a show and not discuss anything with you, and you get to hear 10 songs or 15 songs, or we'll do 5 songs and we can hang out and talk in between, and we'll talk about the gear and whatever you want to ask. I'd be like, I'll take that, because as much as I love performances and stuff, I love all the behind-the-scenes stuff more, the rig rundowns, the gear, why did you use it, what does that sound like, what does it feel like, can you turn the knob that way, and I want to hear that, and what do you think of this as opposed to that? That's the kind of stuff I want to know. So I kind of figured if I knew that, if I wanted to know that, maybe there's some other people that would like that as well, more than just a performance. So we're going to give you the best of all worlds. Hopefully, that's our goal, and I say that humbly, is we'll give you a performance that hopefully we can be proud of and you can enjoy, and we'll give you some introspective things and some back and forth about all the gear that we're using, and we'll have a really good hangout with you guys. And that's really what we're looking forward to doing, is all that too. So and we hope that people really get a lot out of it. I mean, I know we will. We're really looking forward to it, and to be honest with you, we're really nervous. We hope we don't screw up and make horrible mistakes, but I mean, that's part of being live, right? So Size Queen says, amazing, the clarity. It is, like, the string separation and the note separation on this, even is, I mean, there's so much gain right now. It's crazy. Let me move this mic back. Here's some tests I do. I just do some palm mutes. make that bottom string bar. I mean, you can really make that string bark big time. So I do a lot of, like, I do this a lot, and I know it's probably annoying for you guys, but this is how I test amps. Reason why I do that is I can palm mute two strings, the A and the D, at the same time, and they're open, and then I can ring out the strings that I'm chording down here. You know, the. So I can hear the note separation and the thickness and fullness of the thicker strings too, all together. And again, I apologize if that's really like repetitive, but I mean, it's just a habit, you know. That's how I test amps. And if I make the stink face, it's good. If I don't, then it's not. You know, the stink face is the tell-all. You know, I mean, if your amp doesn't make you make the stink face, then you got the wrong amp. You know. So sounds great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And Rod says, where are you guys located? We're in Clarkston, Michigan is where I'm located. You know, my buddy Jamie Trevino is calling me right now, but I don't know if, hey, Jamie, if you're watching, text me, please. Maybe he's got something he wants to ask me or something like that. Or if it's something that you need to ask me, just call me again, and then I'll pick up while I'm on the air here. He's a good friend of mine, and he's actually got me talked into staying with tubes. When I went to modelers for all those times, he was just like, "Man, you got to stick with tubes, man." And I'm like, "Yeah, dragging all that stuff around, blah blah blah." But there's a lot of magic in the tubes, and he's right. I mean, as soon as I came back to tubes, I found all the stuff I was missing. As much as I love the modelers, the tubes are just, you can't beat them, especially with the synergy stuff. It's extremely portable, tons of variety, it's legit, it sounds fantastic, it feels fantastic. There's no guesswork, there's no like, oh, if I pick this amp model, is it real, does it sound good, and this IR and this and that? No, it is real, and it sounds how it does, and there's no guessing anymore. It's legit, it's so good. So I would definitely suggest trying it. I really would. But I'm going to get off here. I definitely have to go eat. I'm starting to feel fidgety. I haven't eaten in like 6 hours, so I got to hurry up and eat. But I really appreciate you guys tuning in. It means the world to me. Seriously, it really means a lot to me. You know, you never know when you go live how many people are going to tune in, and you always wonder if you're going to like just be by yourself or you're going to talk to a lot of people. But again, just showing up and commenting means a lot to me. I mean, I love reading your comments. I love interacting with you. It makes me feel like what I'm doing here is worthwhile. So I appreciate all the comments and questions. I really do. And I will be going live every Sunday night from now on, starting this coming Sunday. I'm trying to figure out a subject that I can cover. If you guys have any suggestions, please put them here in the chat, and I will definitely consider them. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. I'd really appreciate that. As I say at the end of all my videos, because I got a lot of great stuff coming up. And I'll see you on the next one. So you guys all have a great night. Take care. And again, thank you so much for stopping by tonight. It really means a lot to me. I'll see you guys soon.